here this evening and giving Bev and I such a warm welcome, a warm, spirit-filled welcome. Praise God.
On the 25th day of April, Uganda was blessed to receive the worldwide Mothers Union President. And it is a pleasure to us as Uganda, especially at such a time when very many people, very many parents are struggling with issues to do with parenting. Now, when we have the worldwide Mothers Union President visiting Uganda, we are so much excited, and we know she has been to very many places. She went to Busoga, she went to Namirembe, and she had a service at All Saints. But as she winds up her visit to Uganda, I believe this is not the first time to come to Uganda, but it is her first time to come to Uganda as the worldwide Mothers Union President. And it's a pleasure to have you, Mama Sheran. We are really excited to have you in Uganda.
Thank you very much. And I'd like to say hello to all the Ugandans out there. Thank you so much for your hospitality and welcoming me into Uganda.
So, on that very point, what has been your experience this time around in Uganda?
Well, this is actually my first visit to Uganda, and it has been a really tremendous experience, one that is filled with memories that I will take with me as I continue life's journey. The first thing I recognized the minute I touched down on Ugandan soil was the hospitality. I think the hospitality here in Uganda is second to none. You are exceptional and you know how to welcome and show your outpouring of love to visitors. I have been deeply touched by this.
This is so exciting, and as Ugandans, we don't take this for granted. We really thank God who gave us that gift of hospitality, that we can welcome people the way we welcome them. Now, I want us to talk about the issue of parenting. In all your messages, wherever you've been emphasizing attention to the boy child. Why do you think it is important to equally consider the boy child, especially when it comes to grooming? Because we realize that a lot of emphasis has been put on empowering the girl child.
You know, this is something that really touched me when I myself was a young parent. There was an emphasis at the time by the United Nations to empower the girl child, make the girl child visible. And it was justified because girls were being exploited, abused, violence to them was tremendous. But for me, God gave me the blessing of two boys. And what I couldn't understand is, how are we empowering these girls and leaving the boys out when the two are expected to journey together in life through school, through their work life, get married, interact with each other and socialize and love each other? How is that going to happen when you're taking the girls' strides and leaving the boys behind? So there it became very evident for me that something needs to be done with our boys if we want to grow the future leaders of tomorrow, not only tomorrow, today too. If we want leaders in our homes, in our communities, in our workplaces, if we want the men to lead, we've got to start right at the beginning where we parent them. And I always say from my own experience that the parenting begins in the womb. You have that baby growing inside of you, a part of you, and that baby understands what's happening in the world around because of your emotions and your feelings. I remember going to church. I was pregnant maybe 5, 6 months. But every time I opened my mouth and my heart to worship the Lord, I could feel my baby kick inside of me. And it was a joyful kick. It was a kick like, keep on, mommy, that kind of thing. It didn't only happen with my first son. God blessed me with another son soon after, a year after, and I experienced the same thing. I wanted my boy children to grow up in the faith and the life of the church and to be strong men. And so I knew the parenting had to begin at home. And my nurturing and the way I love them and prepare them would impact their lives in such a way that they would then be able to be the kind of leaders that God expects men to be. So that's where it began with me. Parenting on the whole, and parenting the boy child, I'd like to say parenting all children, is very important. We as parents have a habit of saying they're too small to understand. Believe me, the children understand from very small, and you have got to begin to train them in the way that they should go. If not, they will stray when that time comes, and if you don't guide and parent them, then the people who you don't want in their lives are the ones that are going to lure them away from you and good family life. And it's people like the drug lords, those people, the perpetrators of violence. It's people who have them doing the wrong things. As a parent, you have got to keep them in and start from the beginning. With the boys, it is very important to teach them that they are our leaders and co-leaders as well with their sisters. They've got to grow up knowing that their sisters are with them. This is right at the beginning. And they are to love them and to help them. And the same teaching you give to them as children, you give to both sides. The second thing is, our boys, the girls seem to be that little bit faster to mature than the boys. You will hear mothers saying that. And therefore, you have to spend more time in nurturing your boys and building their confidence, their self-esteem, nurturing them in the way that they should go, with the right kind of qualities. For example, to be able to love and show affection as well as receive it. Things like being kind, being patient, being true and honest and sincere in the things that they do. Our boys love to get rough, as we say. And when I say rough, I mean sport. You know, they play rough. You can't have them like little girls in the house. They must play their sports, and they must also be mentored by other men. Men, father figures. Some homes don't have fathers, and so they're father figures in the church who would provide that sort of mentoring as well. You know, that firmness that boys need as they grow into teenagers and young men. They need to know discipline. Discipline. We have to be disciplined in life, and this is something, as parents, we have to impart to our children. And in addition to that, teach them all the activities of daily living, because they're going forward into a generation that we as parents know nothing about. We only have our own experiences in this generation. So we have to prepare them. Education. I always emphasize take in your education. There's nothing like a good education. You have to be educated in order to live a life that is pleasing to God, a life where you can provide for yourself, provide and protect for a wife and children. And not only that, even your parents. Sometimes your parents get very old and they need your attention. You have to show the kind of love that your children see you showing your parents. That's the kind of love that they too will express to you when they get older. Many times I've met parents who say, my children don't even phone me anymore, and I educated them, and I spent so much of money on them. But the question is, what kind of relationship did you build with them? With your boy children, your girl children, what kind of relationship? Were you managing these children? Were you shouting at them? Were you hitting them day and night, taking out your own frustrations on them? Or were you listening? Were you understanding? Were you encouraging them in areas where they were weak in? Were you building them up? Were you speaking the word of God into their lives? It is when you speak positively into a child's life. Tell them how good they are. Oh, that's something wonderful you did today. You did your best. Tell them these positive things. Stop saying things like, oh, why can't you be like Mr. Jones' son? Why can't you do this? And please do not compare. Every child is a gift from God and unique in their own selves. God only made one of you and one child just the way he is and she is in his and her, in God's own image and likeness.
Wow, this is so interesting. Now, we understand you're flying back to the UK anytime, but what is your take-home message? One, about your experience in Uganda, but also that message that you leave out to Ugandans as you go out that can be a point of reflection.
As I leave Ugandan soil, I am leaving here with a very full heart because I have seen the tremendous work that the provincial president, Mrs. Grace Murangezi, and provincial community development coordinator, Mrs. Barbara Mugisha, both women love God and they make the sacrifices to take family life and Christian marriage to the highest heights. I am taking that away from me because for me, that's a powerful message. If you have a home where the marriage is strong, the family unit is strong, that will only give you a strong community. And if you have strong communities of strong, stable, God-fearing families, you'll have a nation that will continue to bow down on its knees and give God all the praise and all the glory, magnifying him every single day. A nation like that could only move from strength to strength, be fruitful and prosperous. I am taking that away from me, with me, and I pray that God will continue to empower these two women, the provincial president and the provincial CDC, with the leadership skills and the wisdom that they need as they lead in this part of God's vineyard. I am taking away the many projects that continue to uplift women and families, give them a chance to flourish in this life. Everybody needs a chance. No one must be left behind. I am taking away the unity of this church. Archbishop is a very humble man. He received me in his palace and he served me. I am used to serving my bishop, but I just let Archbishop serve me because that's what he wanted to do. He even sent me ahead of him and made sure that I was seated. How humbling is that? He is a true servant of God. With somebody like that overshadowing the work of the Mothers Union, I know Mothers Union work will continue to be transformational in the lives of families, taking this nation even further in their step of all that God created this world to be.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much, Mama. It's been a pleasure having you in Uganda. And I believe even as you leave to go back to the UK, Uganda has not been left the same. And we shall forever reflect on that message that you've left with us. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
Thank you, and God bless you all. God bless the Church of Uganda and the nation of Uganda, and of course, my beloved Mothers Union. Thank you.
And God bless you who is watching Church of Uganda Family TV. Amen.